right, now that we have our tire off, it's time to put a new one on. So what that's going to look like, I'm just going to utilize the same tire just for instructional purposes. The only thing different that you're going to need is going to be actual lubrication on the beads of the new tire. So I'm going to throw this guy up here. I'm going to get my bucket of lubrication, my slick, and you're going to whip this guy around like so, in both sides. You don't need to go super crazy with it because you want to make sure that the bead actually seats. Now I'm going to come here. Be mindful again of where this valve stem is when you're installing this tire. You don't need to worry about it too much once you get going here, but this first initial, when I go to slide it over, I want to make sure that I have this nice big gap here to clear that, because if there's a sensor there, again, on a 2008 or newer vehicle, you're going to damage it. You do not want to have to take this thing back off when you realize it's not reading correctly later. It's extra work for you. I'm going to shove that first side on. If you can't do that, you can use the duck bill. I will example that as far as installation goes. So the exact same tool that we use to take it off, we're going to use to put it on. On the back side here, it's got a nice angled blade to it, to where your tire can mate up to it nicely. And it's going to help us put it on at an angle like this. So again, we have that nice big gap. I'm going underneath the front part of this duck bill while I'm sitting on that angled blade. And all I have to do now is keep pressure down here. And as it goes around, it's going to seat it for me. At least it's going to pop it on, I should say. Now at this point, we need to seat it. So I want to make sure that my valve stem is as close as possible to the back, because this is where my air line is here. I'm going to hook up my air line. Keep in mind, again, there's no core in this valve stem. That's going to make it a lot easier to get all that pressure in a lot quicker, and you're not going to have a device sitting there kind of holding you back, taking forever. Now on the bottom side of our machine, we have a nice foot paddle that's going to allow for massive bursts of air from these air lines at where your teeth are that hold the wheel. You just need to make sure that you hit it all the way down as quick as possible. There's two basically steps to this switch. There's just down low, which is just going to air up through the hose. And then the second one is going to allow that big burst of air through the bottom. And what it's going to do is on the bottom side here, it's going to shoot air in four corners in between the tire and the actual rim to allow it to seat as quick as possible. So once it does that and you see it start to go on, you'll actually watch the tire rise, and you'll see the tire actually seat itself to the rim, and you should get two loud pops when it does that. The smaller the tire, I feel like the louder the pops are. Once you get two, at that point it's time to put your core back in. So when you take your hose off, please keep in mind that you're going to start losing air. That's okay. Get your new valve core, screw that puppy in. Simply take your hose, watch your gauge here on the machine, and air it up to about 35. Once you have it to 35, now you're ready to balance it. The reason I like to actually set it to 35 is because most auto manufacturers have it around that number anyways, and it makes it easier to adjust a little bit here, a little bit there when you're done. But I like to have it at the regulated PSI for when I actually go to balance this tire before I put it on the car.